So now we are live. Yes, I hope. Yeah, just a minute. Okay. Yes. Now I'm just going to. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen, and I hope my screen is visible. And let me go in presentation mode. So let me hide floating items. So once again, hello everyone, and welcome to our Power BI meetup. Today's session is titled Bridging the Gap from Raw Data to Real World Impact. My name is Ilgar Zarbaliev, and I'll be your host for today for this event. Thank you for joining us on this exciting journey where we'll explore the data when used effectively can transform into actionable insights. So let's get started. um, Data on its own has doesn't hold value. Its power comes from how we use it. In this session, Farida Aliyeva will take us through inspiring stories of AI in action, predicting teacher churn, improving student performance, and forecasting crop diseases. These real-world cases will show us how raw data can become insights that leaders can rely on to make impactful decisions. So a little bit about our speaker. I hope in next minutes she will be giving the necessary information about herself. But what I would like to talk about our speaker, I'm first of all delighted to introduce her, Farida Aliyeva. Farida is an AI consultant and senior data science with over 5 years of experience building machine learning systems in agriculture, education, and supply chain. So, most importantly, she specializes in creating scalable AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning pipelines from data ingestion all the way to deployment. And we are lucky to have her with us today. A little bit about our upcoming speakers. We are going to have Victoria Echelby from Microsoft's Netherlands of Microsoft Office, and we're going to have Rauf Halafov and Lala Ibadullayeva. A little bit about Microsoft, Meetup rules. Before, first of all, we dive into today's session. Here are a few simple rules to help us run smoothly. So please stay respectful and professional in your interactions. We'll have Q&A session after the presentation, so keep your questions ready. And the session is being recorded, and will be shared later for those who couldn't attend live. And a little bit about session schedule. The first 5 minutes is for introduction that I'm doing right now. After my introduction, our speaker will take the stage, and after her presentation, I hope we'll have Q&A session for 10 or 15 minutes. So, thank you once again for joining us today. To stay connected, follow our community on Meetup platform. You can see this, you can use this link for being stayed to connected with us. So if you want also to be speaker, you can contact me via this email that you see on the screen, zarbali@excelworld.org. So here I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to deliver stage to our lovely speaker, Farida Aliyeva. Farida, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Ilkar, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. So I would love to start with sharing my presentation first. I hope you guys see it.
Exactly, we see it here.
Perfect. As Ilgar mentioned, My name is Farida Aliyeva, and I am at the moment working as an AI consultant, but I am also a senior data scientist. I have worked for over 5 years across completely different domains, edtech, agriculture, oil and gas, and supply chain. And I am here today to discuss with you the importance of data in today's world and in today's businesses, and also how should we approach and building some scalable AI and machine learning systems in order to be able to utilize that data. So I would love to start with a simple example. Uh, Sorry. Yeah. So imagine you are a school principal, and every year you lose the teachers, so sometimes unexpectedly, and you're scrambling to fill the gaps. So, or imagine you're a farmer, let's say, and you have spent months caring for your orchard, but in just a few days, a crop disease spreads and threatens your entire harvest. So, in both cases, you have data, student records, weather forecasts, historical patterns, but data on its own doesn't help you decide what to do tomorrow morning, right? So, and that's the heart of my talk today, actually. So, data on its own has no value. It's about how we use it, mainly, how we transform it into something that guides real decisions, changes the outcomes, creates the impact. So, over the past years, I've worked across different domains, and but the lessons have always been the same. The raw data is just the beginning. So the value comes only when we connect it to human problems and build systems that people can trust and act on. So the problem was the raw data. So let's be honest, organizations nowadays are drowning in the data, and some of the organizations don't even know how to manage that data, a large volume of it. So let's say schools have endless student performance records, and the farmers have satellite imagery, soil data, and some weather predictions. Companies nowadays have like years of tender documents or some procurement workflows of the business processes that they've been doing. And yet, when I talk to leaders, they often say the same thing. So we feel data rich, but insight poor. Why? Because that data is messy. It's fragmented, it's stuck in silos, and leaders invest in tools before they have defined a problem. And sometimes they expect AI or some visualization tool or whatever to be like a magic box, so where you fit the data and get out the answers, but that's not how it works. So raw data by itself is like crude oil. So you can store the barrels of it, but unless you refine it, you process it and deliver it in the right way, it's useless. So how do we refine it? Here I am sharing some of the stories. So I would love to start with the ed tech experience that I had, where we built teacher churn and student success solutions. A few years ago, I was working with an educational platform. It was a US educational platform. The problem was the teacher churn, teachers leaving the platform at a high rate, which disrupted the classroom for sure. And we had all this platform data like teacher engagement, class activity, student activity. The question was, can we use this to predict the data, to predict the churn of the teachers, of whether it might happen or not? And at first, we started by just analyzing all the data that the platform was gathering. Um, there was a platform usage data, and we investigated some of the key insights, let's say the low frequency of use of some of the units or tasks they have created for the students, which was delivered to the linguists that were building it, and they have confirmed that those units don't even fit into the school year. That's why they were unreachable. So that's why we had that missing data for it. So we have found several problems like this before stepping into machine learning and AI application to the platform. What we did, we fixed them, we gathered more of a cleaner data, and then only then we proceeded to ML and AI implementations. So we have built a teacher churn prediction system, which every month the system would estimate the churn rate for each school and the district on the platform with ongoing licenses. The then that gave school principals a chance to step in early and support their teachers and reduce the turnover on the platform. The impact wasn't just the numbers on the dashboard, it was the numbers of the users being active, and it meant the students saw continuity in their classrooms. Uh, Another system that we have also built, focused on both teachers and students, was we've first investigated that for specific students, some of the task types were more preferable than the others, which then resulted in some required skills being underdeveloped for the students. So using this task performance data, we designed a recommendation system to help teachers by suggesting supplementary tasks and assignments for those who need attention in terms of their performance. And here's the lesson for the leaders across all of these systems that we have prepared. So you don't start with the right away super powerful algorithm. You start with a human problem, and then in education, let's say, it wasn't about building the fanciest AI. It was about making sure that the insights that we're doing, although they might be just a simple statistical insights without any AI intervention, those insights changed the way schools and students acted. My next example will be the agricultural domain. So it's a completely different field, literally. I had a chance to work with this domain as an external expert. So the use case I was working on was about helping to protect the crops at a national scale. So let's say a little bit diving into the biology. So diseases like the apple scab and the powdery mildew, they can wipe out the harvests, and a farmer might only realize the problem when it's too late. But when if you but what if we could forecast the risk before the disease spreads? So we have built some models, some of them rule-based statistical ones even, that combined weather forecasts from Meteo Blue or NASA's weather station data providers. So with geospatial analytics, the satellite data, the farm reports, some disease spread patterns, and we didn't stop here. So we created interactive dashboards as well, where farmers and policymakers, like the stakeholders, could see daily risk updates. And behind the scenes, we optimized the code to run faster so that insights came in a real time. The result, so the farmers had a warning system. Instead of reaching to disaster, they could act early, spray fields, protect orchards, save crops. At national level, this means better food security. And also, besides saving the crops and the food, it is also about sustainability and environmental impact, because some of the farmers used to spread too much of the um, pesticides in order to protect, even though without knowing if the risk is going to be spreading or not, they're spreading it so that to avoid this bad situation in terms of the disaster and losing the crops, losing the protection for the orchards. So that's another negative impact that we were solving with this application. The lesson here is also from the leadership perspective is very important. AI impact doesn't come from a single clever model. Again, it comes from building the right infrastructure, like the data pipelines, the servers, even drones that make the system sustainable. I would also love to proceed to the another industry, which is an oil and gas. So recently, I've been working as an AI consultant for a company which has like many years of documents. They wanted to use AI, but the question was, where do we even begin? So instead of rushing to build models, we started with an AI readiness assessment. We reviewed workflows, we mapped the technical stack, and identified opportunities where AI could add the value, actual value. And here's the surprising part. So the biggest need wasn't an algorithm at all. It was a structure. So the data wasn't ready. That was the problem. The workflows weren't aligned. The first step toward AI was cleaning that, organizing it, standardizing it in terms of storage, etc. And that's the lesson leaders also often overlook. Sometimes the most impactful AI project starts not with building, but with preparing that ground so that next years when we are utilizing those platforms or when we are running the businesses, but with the standardized approaches, we start collecting that data in a proper way, uh, by means of which we can extract those valuable insights and make them work for us. Um, so overall, the framework, like from raw data to impact, from these stories, a simple framework emerges. 4 steps I can emphasize. First is a problem. Don't start with AI. Start with the human or business problem you need to solve. So this is a long process to dive deep and identify that. It might not only be within the data that you're collecting, but also with the business logic that you're having. Second would be some data fitness. So ask, is our data usable? So yeah, that there might be a lot of it, but is it clean? Is it accessible? Is it governed properly so we can start utilizing it? That's another important thing. Number 3 is AI fit. So, in terms of machine learning models and AI in implementation to the systems, we have to first make sure and audit whether we are choosing the right method, and not every problem needs that deep learning, right? I have gave you today the examples which we have implemented, and we extracted some brilliant insights in terms of the edtech implementation and the agriculture as well. But there was no AI behind that. It was just a basic statistical approaches and just data manipulation techniques which you implement, and then you identify some anomalies in there and you directly report them to the C levels or those within that field. The field knowledge, like the domain knowledge, is also an important factor. So whenever we have that data, so in order to identify those anomalies, we have to have the people from the domains with whom we can actually investigate the things, and the things were reported, and then the investigation process starts to actually get whether that is the real problem or that's a normal thing we knew about that. So that's when it comes about the AI feed. And the fourth one, I would name it the impact loop. So don't stop at building. We have to measure the impact. We have to validate it. We have to improve. It's not about just building the AI system or the machine learning pipeline, right? So we have to validate that after we have deployed that. And we have to improve constantly. So it's not a single time issue that we create that, you merge that into your platform or business processes. It's about how often do you improve. So here I can bring an example of the chatbots. So the chatbots also they need to be customed each and every time, because the chatbots are like kids. They get used to learn from us while talking, and the way people talk to the robots that provide some customer support is not the ideal proper way usually. So that's why we need to clean up those chatbots from that unnecessary things that we don't want from chatbots to be as the answers or as the prompts for our users. So that comes to that fourth part. We have to improve. And the final thing is we have to make sure those insights actually change the decisions. So this is not something that stays within here. And yeah, we have AI, but how does it change overall system? Does it make it faster? Does it utilize all of the resources that you're giving it, or some of the resources are excessive, but you're still paying for them? These are very important things within that framework that I wanted to emphasize. It's not about technology, it's about leadership and the management of all this process and how you approach it. So, some leadership lessons, I would say. So, what should non-technical leaders take away from all this? First, AI is a team sport. You need domain experts, you need engineers, you need data scientists working together. Second, infrastructure before AI. As I said, auditing everything and checking for AI fit. If your pipelines or your platform or your technical abilities aren't in place or are outdated, no model will save you because you will not even be able to run it. Third is ethics and trust. So nowadays we had a lot of things regarding the data governance and ethics of implementing AI, and this topic has been very crucial the more advanced we become in terms of it utilizing the AI. So teachers, farmers, procurement officers must trust the system, and that means the transparency, explainability, and the fairness you achieve within your system. Um, so adoption beats the accuracy. 70% accurate model that people actually use is far more valuable than a 99% accurate model that sits in a drawer, right? Uh, so finally, people should think long term when thinking of how to implement those AI systems and utilize the data. So a lot of projects with an incorporated AI, they die after the pilot phase. So sustainable systems, they require the governance, maintenance, and continuous improvement, as we said previously. So I'm actually up to the conclusion. So I would love to get back to the very first point that I mentioned. So whether we are principal facing the teacher turnover, or a farmer protecting a harvest, or a business leader planning your next tender, you don't need more data, more of a raw data. You need refined, actionable insight, and that's what AI can give you if you ask the right question, invest in the right infrastructure, and champion adoption across the teams. So once again, data alone is a noise, but with vision and execution, it comes a story that helps us and changes and drives our businesses. So that's basically it from my side. I hope you enjoyed it, and now I would definitely love to proceed with the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for wonderful presentation and valuable information. It's really very important. Uh, as a person, I have dealt in with some projects, with real projects where we were dealing with the raw data, and I know the importance level of this topic. So once again, thank you. So I have yeah, before every meetup, I'm sending some links together, questions related to topic. Here in the chat, I have just left a couple of questions, 4 or 5 questions. So be so kind as to read this question in the chat. If you don't mind, I can also read myself, and let's answer to these questions.
Okay, so question number one, when working
Yeah.
with ERP or business systems, what challenges do you face in preparing raw data for analysis? So actually the ERP systems, I love working when companies already have the ERP systems, although some of the ERP systems are expensive enough, I would say, in terms of maintenance and purchasing the licenses. But still, it's much easier to work with the companies that do have incorporated ERPs because the data there appears to be more structured than those companies that are trying to cope with still trying to cope with Excels, and there are plenty of such companies. So what challenges do you face in preparing the raw data? The only challenge I might say in terms of the ERP systems is sometimes I have come across with the companies that even though they had the ERP systems, they were using them just for some limited tasks, but normally still keep operating with the Excel. That might be the issue with the businesses that have those ERPs but not utilizing them. The technical side of the challenge might be in terms of system due to not being used needs some maintenance and update in order to be incorporated and joined with some, let's say, visualization tools. So integration part to some of the AI and visualization tools, this might be a challenge sometimes, and it needs sometimes or additional licensing, which can be a problem for the businesses. How can Power BI or similar tools help non-technical leaders understand and use insights effectively? So, the Power BI is a powerful tool, I would say. I used to work with that as well. Also, the Tableau and some other custom visualization tools. It actually matters on how the Power BI professional interprets the data within there and shows the insights, because the dashboard engineering, like visualizator, is also a completely different data analytics, I would say, domain. So that you have to know how to show that data properly in order for it to show us the insights. So some of the visualizations, like the box plots and some of the charts, are suitable for some cases, and being able to show the anomalies and being not suitable for the others. So when built properly, it has to be very much easy for non-technical leaders to understand what is there, and that requires the knowledge of the statistics behind the data, so that you choose the right visualization chart, let's say, for the sea level. What are some of the biggest risks in deploying predictive AI systems in critical domains like education or agriculture? Um, predictive, so deploying, I would say there is an emphasis to deploying those systems. I would say, as I said during the presentation, it needs the constant improvement as in terms of the um, as for any AI system, it needs a constant improvement, as I said, for the chatbots and etc. The thing about that is, let's say in agricultural domain, when we were building those even rule-based models, it is very risky to tell the farmers the wrong information regarding the risk being not spread. So it comes to the accuracy, right? So some of the fields where the accuracy is not that much game changing, and some of the fields that require high predictability, let's say the healthcare and agriculture is one of those domains. So there, the validation process is very much crucial. So some of the existing tools, some manual checkup. So what we did personally is that we were sending out messages to some of the field field owners with requiring them to check for the diseases if they have them or not. So this was one of the validation processes that we were doing before the deployment. So that's why I can emphasize that validation is the key part of it. What are some ethical considerations when applying AI in fields like education and healthcare? So there are a lot of them, I would say. So nowadays, there is, in terms of uh, ethical and AI. So let's say we're crossing the streets, right? And some cameras that are capturing our cars or capturing us ourselves. So it's also about being about the ethical thing regarding the AI. So AI needs data. Data is the video and the image. So that's a very sensitive thing, whether a person should give a consent to that or not. So these things are part of, let's say, data governance and ethics that should be actually reported when initializing some of the AI systems. So for example, in our EdTech application platform, we also had some ethics from the client perspective. They were assuring the schools they were working with that they are not storing any personal information. So they are masking it and they are not keeping it in the database. And we were left without that information regarding the gender of the student, regarding the age group of the students. We didn't have that because they were given the consent, and we were limited from the data perspective when we were building some of the AI solutions. And what role can non-technical leaders play in AI adoption? So, the most important role I can think of from non-technical leaders is the domain knowledge. As long as they are the leaders, they are the one, that one person who is leading the company. He knows the business processes well, and he might be very in handy in terms of giving the data scientists and AI engineers the overall idea of how it runs, so that we can start digging to that available data and get some of the insights. So this is the, I would say, an orchestration, when you are combined with non-technicals, but someone with the domain knowledge, and you together have a look on that data, have a look on that statistical information. You understand that there is a problem, or there is some need for an attention to some specific parts of the business workflow, or everything is fine. So I guess the domain knowledge, domain expertise is the role for the non-technical leaders in AI adoption.
Thank you very much, Farida. Sorry, for answering to all five questions. I appreciate it. And really, thank you once again for your wonderful presentation, wonderful distribution. And I hope it will be very useful on behalf of the members who are just going to watch your video.
Thank
Your session. So personally, I found it very useful. So this time, just to stop live streaming. So I'm just going to stop live streaming. Arthur Klein is one of my, member of Azerbaijan Power BI community. Thank you for your active participation, Arthur. So, so let me stop.